Something is very wrong in America. This American guy went to a Chinese hospital. He didn't need an appointment. He just walked in. He didn't need to see a PCP in order to go, that's a primary care physician, in order to go and see a specialist. Wow, his test results came back the same day. And guess what? The entire appointment was only $4. Something is very wrong in America. And you know what that is? Is that people believe this absolute garbage propaganda, and the fact that big accounts on social media in America are sharing mainline Chinese Communist Party propaganda. That's what's wrong with America these days. Come on, guys, wake up. Internet security really is difficult to stay on top of, and unless you're the kind of guy who likes to recompile Linux kernels daily and enjoys those SSH sessions, I'm afraid you probably aren't up to the task of keeping up. But why worry about that when you've got products like Surfshark on the market? Surfshark VPN is my choice of VPN, and it's my first line of defense. A VPN encrypts your data through a secure tunnel, keeping it away from prying eyes, and it also hides your location by shifting your IP address. But not only that, it helps you with things like discriminatory price gouging. If you set your server to a different country, you'll find out that you can actually get deals like flights and rent-a-cars cheaper than if you were to order them from your own country. It's weird that way. Surfshark VPN is awesome though. Check it out to get some peace of mind. Give yourself that extra little bit of security and take advantage of all the extra services like being able to watch videos that are blocked in your country online. Go to surfshark.com/SerpentZA to get a huge discount off of a 2-year plan, plus 4 months extra. Hey babe, I just got us 4 months extra of Surfshark. Again, go to surfshark.com/SerpentZA and use the code SerpentZA. And now, back to the show. This is just nonsense propaganda. Easy to break it down. Let's have a quick look.
I'm an American and I went to a Chinese hospital. Here's my experience.
If you're wondering about his accent, because it's not an American accent, it's because he's actually a dual citizen South African.
The doctor's appointment was so easy to book.
By the way, this oversaturation is annoying me. Can we turn that down a little bit? Okay, that's more or less normal. I mean, here's an actual street view of the place. So we can compare. Yeah, okay, that looks a bit better to me.
I just booked on the machine and a kind staff member came to help me. After I got my appointment, I was able to see the doctor very quickly. In America, sometimes it takes months just to get a specialist appointment. But here, I was able to do it in 1 day. The doctors were very professional and they work extremely hard. The appointment was $4 without insurance. In America, this would cost at least $300 without insurance. Unbelievable.
All right, so he walks into this place. Now, I actually know this hospital. You know why? Because I've worked in that hospital before. Some of you may know that I used to teach and train doctors back in the day. That was my job. I used to work for a medical training company. They'd send me around in Shenzhen specifically to all of the hospitals, including this one. I know a lot of doctors. I trained a lot of doctors. A lot of them are my friends. I used to go drinking with these guys. I met my wife, who's a Chinese doctor, in my work. So I'm very familiar with the hospitals and with doctors and so on in this city and in this specific hospital too. And so when I saw this propaganda, I was like, this is nonsense, right? That is one of the most expensive hospitals in the city. In fact, in the country. It's one of 3 very special hospitals that were set up to reach a specific international standard. I can't remember the exact details, but when they had the grand opening in, I believe it was 2015, there was a big hoo-ha about it, I remember. And so it is not a normal hospital. It's a special one. And it's an expensive one. So I reached out to some people who work there. And I asked them, hey, listen, how much does it cost if I wanted to come in and just get a consultation? And how much do some basic procedures cost? You know, anything from a broken leg to a heart attack, you know, just some things, some common procedures if I get a stroke. And they got back to me and gave me a sort of a plus minus idea of what I can expect to pay. So first of all, the idea that this guy got a $4 all-inclusive appointment is absolute bullshit, because $4 is only the registration fee, which you have to pay. And remember also, before you get any of your procedures done, you have to pay first. It's a very mercenary system in China. So basic minimum that you will pay is around $25 because that includes your registration fee and your consultation fee. But on average, you're probably in that hospital going to be paying around $75, which, okay, a lot of you out there will say, well, if I go to urgent care in the States, I walk in there and it's anywhere from 175 all the way up to sort of I'll tell you personally, for me, I've been there a couple of times, mainly my daughter when she had a high fever, when she tripped and fell, had to get some stitches. And it's always been in the 200-odd range, 220 thereabouts. So yeah, if you compare it like apples to apples like that, if you say the amount, it seems cheaper to go in to get a consultation. But that's not actually true, because you have to take into consideration what people earn in that city, in that country. In fact, in that area, the Bao'an district, the Bao'an of Shenzhen, your average salary is anywhere sort of between $650 all the way up to $1,100 a month. Okay, and that's on the high end of the middle class, is $1,100. So bearing that in mind, when we look at these procedures that they gave me the costs for, you can see that, hey, listen, if you broke your leg, you could be paying half your year's salary or even a whole year's salary if it's a severe break without insurance. And I mean, don't forget, we're not even taking into account costs of living, which are pretty high in Shenzhen. It's a very expensive city. So, your rent and just food and just everything is pretty high as it is. Now, all of a sudden, you have to fork out a year's worth of salary. And remember, I told you have to pay first before you get these procedures done. So what'll happen is you'll get situations which I've seen a lot, where somebody gets in an accident. And I'm talking specifically about foreigners here, because, I mean, this propaganda is aimed at you as a foreigner, right? So you'll get situations where foreigners get into an accident or they have a stroke or something, and all of a sudden they need to crowdfund because they don't have enough money to cover the procedure. I've been in a pretty unique situation to see this, myself being very public and, the first YouTube vlogger in China. People would reach out to me because I've got a big platform and say, hey, my friend got into a bicycle accident and he broke his leg or his ribs or something and he needs to crowdfund. Or I remember there was this DJ in Shenzhen, he had a stroke. Everyone's trying to crowdfund for the guy. A personal friend of mine was in a motorcycle accident. Now he's crowdfunding and his students are helping to pay, the parents of the students, the university he worked at, crowdfunding all the other foreigners. Why, if China's medical system is so cheap and easy and so amazing, why is it that every time somebody gets hurt, they're trying to crowdfund from their friends and students to pay for it? And that's because it's incredibly expensive. I just need to hammer that in quickly. The Chinese medical system is super expensive if you live and earn money in China, right? So just keep that in mind when you're trying to do comparisons. So look, all of this stuff is nonsense. This is bullshit propaganda. It's not as convenient as it's made out to be, and it's hell of a expensive if you live and work in China. So that's not the point of this video, though. The point of this video is that this was pure Chinese propaganda, straight from the Communist Party of China to your eyes through some of the biggest and most trusted accounts on X, and other social media platforms. You see, we traced it back to the beginning. If you'd seen my live show on Friday, the China show, we talked about this particular thing in depth, but we traced it back. You see, this particular video had a URL built into it that flashes around on the screen. Traced it back to its origins, which was a TikTok account. And this TikTok account is there to propagate Chinese propaganda. That's all it does. It puts out military propaganda about how great the People's Liberation Army Air Force's jets are and how much better they are than America. Puts out propaganda about how crap America is and how great China is. That's the only reason that account exists, is to disseminate Chinese propaganda on behalf of the CCP. So it puts it out there. It gets picked up by all the amplification channels and accounts, as you can see, this list behind me here on Twitter and Threads and so on. They take that video and then they boost it out there. Okay? And then a big account like Wall Street Apes sees it, obviously, from one of these different amplifiers. It comes across their path and they're like, oh, great. This is another America bad content I can use to put out there, because that's the hip thing to do now, is to point out that America sucks and China is good or other countries are better. So they post it out there without even checking, without seeing that it is actually just Communist Party propaganda. It is from the source. Go back to the source. Chinese propaganda. Even the text from the original propaganda post translated from Chinese is almost exactly the same as what Wall Street Apes posted. And that's the real point of this video, is I want everybody to know that it's no longer a situation where you'll get shills and these kind of moralist wankers who work for the Chinese government and work for state media, putting it out on their Twitter or their personal things. It's now got to the point where Chinese propaganda is going to come from mainstream sources. I mean, this Wall Street Apes, I'm not incredibly familiar with them, but they're very proudly put up there, followed by Elon Musk, you know, the richest man in the world, followed by Joe Rogan, arguably the most influential podcaster in the world, followed by members of the current American government. So it's a big account. It's got a lot of people, trusted people who follow it. So if you see something coming from a big source like that, you're probably going to put a little bit more credibility in it, wouldn't you? So now that they're sharing actual raw Chinese Communist Party propaganda, it's a worry. And that means you're going to see it everywhere else too. And this is very concerning because right now we're in the middle of an information war. And we've got billions of dollars behind China's 讲好中国故事 campaign, which is tell a China story well.
讲好中国故事. 讲中国故事.
They're using foreign influences from around the world to do Chinese propaganda. And so you've got these billions of dollars, but on top of that, you now have this big movement to latch onto anything that is critical of America, to say America sucks, America is bad, and to amplify it too. And the Chinese government knows this. That's why they have all this like, oh, America doesn't have this, or America sucks, or American shocked, or America lost, or whatever. So you get all these people that are trying to further their own goals of painting America in a bad light, pushing this stuff too. So it's this big, unholy mess of evil propaganda being pushed down your throat and being platformed all over the place. At the end of the day, the truth will always out. And the truth of the matter is that if you have a good product, you don't need to sell it so hard. Anyway, guys, stay awesome. Unlike these stupid propagandists and these stupid big channels that platform Chinese propaganda, stay awesome. I'll see you soon. Please consider supporting me by joining my secret show every Monday. Link is down below. Seriously, guys, right now we're up against a massive bully. We need all the help we can get. Thank you.
Which doesn't make it better.
Slices of grapefruit. We have the lamest YouTube names.
We do.
Ever. He is not the victim.
But he's a flowery public thing. I mean, she had a lot of space to go take a dump in the back there. We've got nice questions. Okay, pleasant questions. In the black bag, we've got nasty questions.
How would you explain your kinkiest impulse to your grandma without her disowning you if she were alive?
Wow.